Hey guys, I wanted to give you some support on the IXL lessons that you've been getting assigned from me. They are all under the category of analyzing literature, which is fiction. So we've done throughout the year bits and pieces of this, like when we did our fairy tale unit and we worked on elements of fiction. And remember, we did Plot Mountain, the beginning, the rising action, the climax, and things like that, how you develop characters. Also, when you did your whole poetry unit with Mrs. Brownell, that was analyzing literature. So literature is a fancy word for fiction. It's that's it. It's just fiction. So to go along with the IXL stuff that I've recently assigned, I'm going to do, I'm not going to read through this whole book. So I have a book here. It's called Eagle Song. It is fiction. And I'm going to read aloud to you parts of it some days. Now, I will go in order when I read, but I can't guarantee we're going to get through the whole book. The reason I'm going to do this is it's going to help me kind of teach you things that might come up in IXL. So you might be getting questions on IXL about, like, how does this character feel about a certain situation? And what evidence from the text told you that answer? So for today, I'm going to give you questions, but I'm going to answer them myself. So the questions I ask are similar ones that I may ask in the future that I may actually have you type out and email to me answers, like how Miss Donahue has been doing math problems in your emails. So this is just like an extra, so we'll call it a supplement. A supplement is something extra that's not only going to help you with some of the IXL stuff, but just help you in general with understanding fiction. So this is called Eagle Song. I'll read the back of the book to you so you have an idea of what it's about. Danny Bigtree's family has moved to a new city, and no matter how hard he tries, Danny can't seem to fit in. He's homesick for the Mohawk Reservation, where he used to live, and the kids in his class call him Chief and tease him about being an Indian, the thing that makes Danny most proud. Can he find the courage to stand up for himself? So, this also applies to social studies. We've already learned about Native Americans. That's going to be relatable here, okay? So, chapter 1, Shay Khan. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm literally, I think, just going to read this page, this first page, and then ask you some questions that you do not have to answer. I'm going to answer them for you, okay? Chapter 1, Shay Khan. Hey, Chief, going home to your teepee? Danny Bigtree clenched his fists, but kept walking. The November wind was cold against his face. It blew his long black hair over his eyes. He thought again about cutting it short. If he asked his mother to cut his hair, she might look at him in that way she had. She wouldn't tell him no. Even though her eyes might question his decision, he knew she would cut it if he asked. But he knew, too, that even with short hair, he'd still be noticed. The other boys would still say things like that. That's how it always was here in Brooklyn, especially if you were different. That was the first page. We've learned a lot already. So, questions I might ask in the future are things like, who is Danny? Who do you think this character Danny is? How do you think he feels? Just by what I read. What kind of environment is he living in that's giving him this kind of trouble? And why is he conflicted? We've talked about conflict. Conflict is when you have a disagreement or an argument or just different views on something with somebody. So if that's what conflict means, then conflicted is having that feeling like within yourself, like you're fighting amongst something, like two things. It's like having those two different sides on your shoulders and trying to think like, well, what's the best decision? So I'm going to answer the questions for you right now. You might have been thinking of some answers, so see if you're right. So one of the questions I asked was, who is Danny? Well, from what I've read, I would say Danny is a boy, right? It seems like he's in school, so a school-aged boy, who apparently is getting picked on. I'm going to assume it's for his hair, and because maybe he has longer hair, and because they called him Chief. So the Indian background comes in there. Now, how does he feel? Well, he feels kind of upset because he goes home, and this kind of then also flows into my other question. How is he conflicted? He's conflicted because he feels that if he cuts his hair, maybe the kids won't make fun of him. He knows that his mom will do it for him if he asks her, but he doesn't want to disappoint her because it's part of their heritage. So that's why he's conflicted. He wants to cut his hair because he thinks it might help him fit in. But again, he doesn't want to cut his hair because he doesn't want to disappoint his mom and his family and his traditions and heritage. And then the last thing I asked was, what kind of environment is he living in? Well, it literally says he's there in Brooklyn, which is right outside of New York City. So I can give the literal answer of he's in Brooklyn, New York. But the environment, it tells me he's not in an environment where there, I guess, is a lot of diversity, where there are other Native American students. Because it seems like he's getting picked on for being different. So if there were a lot of kids that looked like him, it wouldn't be a difference. So that's what that kind of tells me. That's a lot of information, guys, from a half of a page. So each day I might do a little bit more of the read aloud. So you have to watch the videos. And I'll ask you questions that I want you to answer. And it'll kind of help you in answering some of the IXL stuff that you're working on. All right. I don't obviously expect you to have the book. So that's why you'll have to just listen. So no reading, listening, and participating when I ask you to. All right. I hope this helped, guys. Keep working on your IXL stuff. Have a great day. Bye.